familiar with. So I think the best way to open up this discussion is for you, ladies and gentlemen, to let us know what's on your mind. We're here to listen to you, and we're also here to share with the community what it is that we want to present these pictures to our congressional delegation, to let them know how serious this is and that we actually need funding to help us with this problem. So for those of you who have pictures that did not appear on this screen, will you please let us know after the meeting? Because we want every picture that you have so we can present it to our congressional delegation.
I'm a property owner in that area. I've owned the property for 16 years. I've tried to keep it up. I've put new windows in, new roofs, tile floors, everything. I bought this house 16 years ago for $38,000, and I was recently offered $18,000 for this house, which is absolutely deplorable that it would go down to less than half of what I paid for it when it's had so many improvements. It has flooded 3 times in the last 27 and the property that I own that's in the flood zone is 606 Martin Luther King Drive.
Yes, I'm Roosevelt Kelly, and I'm just here to ask, since the flood, has there been any assessment made on the areas that are flooded, and do we have a pinpoint issue that we need to take care of for each street? Because I know each street is different than
the ball as it relates to flooding. I think what we have here with this group today is a loyalty and an allegiance and a commitment to doing something about this flooding. It cannot continue on. We have gone to folks' houses who are in tears. I've heard the voice of Reverend Leroy Lacy and his anguish and his pain as a consequence of all of the water flooding right in front of his business. And it's been going on for years. The story that he shared was basically when the depot was built, so many drains were locked up and disallowed an opportunity to drain. The drains on Academy, the drains on Fulton are not draining right, so everything collects in front of its place. We have to correct that. What we have to do, Mr. Kelly, is that we have to identify the hot spots. We have to clean up our Bachelor Creek, some call it Creosote, because over in Isabella, you have a forest blocking the flow of water. A lot of our covers are stopped up with grit and grime and roots, commodes, sofas, and all kind of crazy stuff. So we have a commitment to cleaning out our covers, to cleaning out these ditches, to working with Congressman Benny Thompson's office, or any other senator, or any other congressman for the acquisitions of funds. We recognize and realize we have a serious problem. But I think that we can be the drum major to solve it. And that's the direction in which we're headed. And we need your help. And we need to hear from all of you. Didn't I come to your house?
Yes.
Yeah, could you stand and tell your story? I'm coming, Sherry.
Well, my name is Roxy Bass. I live at 305 South Walnut. Every time I ask God to keep water from getting down, because if we don't move them, they'll get wet. Water has come up to my steps.
in that position, and Rucker knows because I've talked to him, different people in the positions where we walk the street, we talk about the Crisco ditch, we talked about all those drainage holes are clogged up. There's nowhere for the water to go but in our houses. My car, now, it was raining, and I said, well, if it's gonna rain, I'm gonna move my car because it's low. I put it across the street at a vacant house. That car is still flooded. The water is total, it's gone. And that's a headache. I don't know if anybody know anything about a total car and you gotta go find something else, you gotta deal with the insurance companies. That's terrible. It's terrible. Then I have a grandbaby that's in the house. He can't even go back in the house because of the mold. And then people, do you know we call Red Cross? You know what Red Cross told us? We have a kit for you.
Can someone give her the mic, please?
My name is Joanna Sanders, and I live on Walnut Street next to Roxy. And as she stated, every time it rains, we have to move our cars across the churchyard. That doesn't make any kind of sense. It got up to this last rain got up to my step. I thought sure it was gonna get in my house, and I don't have no flood insurance. And another thing, the drainage need to be cleaned out. They are not cleaned out. They'll come down there with the shovel and talk about cleaning it out, but that's not cleaning it out. The drainage is piled up with leaves. It's canned, it's some of everything. So it just really something needs to be done, because I'm sick of it. 303 Wallace.
Miss Sherry?
I stay on 501 South Hickory Street. My name is Sherry Denton. I've been going through the flood forever. I don't need that. Even over there. But the thing is, once we put the trash, dumpster, whatever, outside the road, if they would come and pick it up, it would stop all them damn leaves from going through them sewer lines. We over there now, we got stuff been out there for 2 weeks. Ain't nobody came over there and picked it up. All up and down the street. Nobody picked it up. And I'd have called them, and it's still laying out there side road.
On what street is this?
South Hickory Street, from Rebel Grade them house all the way back to the other end. Stuff is all outside the road. Nobody came and picked it up. And that's caused when it rains, them leaves and trees and bushes and all that goes up under them sewer lines, and the water can't flow. I called them 2 weeks ago. The stuff still outside the road. I called them yesterday, today. The stuff still outside the road. Nobody picks it up. So if nobody picks this stuff up, when it rains, it's gonna go through them sewer lines, and it's gonna stop the sewers up. Water have nowhere to go.
Who did you talk to when you called?
I called Rucker. I called the supervisor. I called the lady out there. She wrote the name and stuff down, and nobody still ain't came. She called me.
I tell you what, somebody will be out there tomorrow.
I mean, stuff from Reverend Gray's house all the way down the other end of Hickory Street.
Okay.
Outside the road. Bushes, them, so nobody picks it
Hold
up.
on, Rucker. Okay, we'll take care of that tomorrow. Edwin, write that address down, would you please? Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm not a resident of Canton, but I was sent here by my grandmother, and I want to ask.
Who's your grandmother?
Her name is Easter. She lives on 3rd Avenue.
Okay.
I was sent here on her behalf, and I want to ask a question to our supervisors and our Board of Aldermen and Mayor. We have had a flood litigation plans as far back as Alex Scott. How can we go by modifying some of those? Each mayor have sit in their seat have came up with a flood litigation plan. How can we go by modifying one of those plans and actually not talk about what we want done, but actually put something into motion every time we flood? Now, I every time it rains hard, I have to come get my grandmother out of her house on 3rd Avenue to bring her to my house because I know it's not gonna flood. And I just wanna know what is the working relationship between the city and the county? Because this is the only place in the county it does this. What is the plan to implement one of those plans that's already in place and go forward? That's my question.
Well, first of all, it needs to be said that we do have a plan. And we've had a plan for quite some time, going back to 2009, maybe even back further. Sir?
Are you using the plan? What is the plan? You've been having ever since 2009?
2009.
Okay, well let me share this with you. First of all, everybody has dropped the ball. We have not used the plan. So let me just be honest with you. We have not modified the plan. The reason we're here today is to rededicate ourselves to this issue. I do not know, what's your first name? Tavar. I do not know from the day you were born up until this day if there's ever been a town hall meeting like this. I don't think so. I've been here for 50 years now. I don't remember a town hall meeting like this. So what we did was that we decided to take it upon ourselves and said enough is enough. These folks who sit up here today are as tired as you are. So mistakes have been made, negligence has taken place. We're gonna start right now doing what it is that you say we ought to have done the days of yesteryear and need to do today. I tell you, I'm committed, the Board of Aldermen are committed, the supervisors are committed. It's my duty and my responsibility to stay on everybody, to make sure that this job is done. I only ask you, the citizens, to give me an opportunity to do that, to do what it is that we're supposed to do. I stand before God and my country right now to tell you how committed we are. And we are committed. And as a collective group, all of those who are here together, this is not going to break us apart. It's not going to tear us apart, but it's going to bring us together. We are going to win this war because we have to. And you're correct. We don't want to be talking about this the next generation, somebody 10 years of age today, and we're still talking about it. We have dropped the ball. And so what we're trying to do is start and do something after 50 years of neglect, of flooding. We have to do this.
No, I've been standing here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Could you come on up front? I'm sorry.
I'm okay right here. My name is Deborah Graham Brooks, and I moved back home just like this lady did to put my money back into my city. Now, I live in a no-flood zone, but yet my yard is flooding, almost to it's getting in my house, and I'm concerned about that. And as everybody else has stated, the leaves, the drains are not being properly cleaned. Now, a few weeks ago, someone came over by my house, scraped a little dirt off the edge of my yard. Guess where that dirt went when it rained? Back in my drain. My drain, you could barely see the duct where the water's supposed to go out. The water is backing up. Now, we moved in that house when I was 5 years old. We've been there 43 years. Only the last 2 years have we started having this problem. Would you agree, Ms. Bonnie? Yes. Where the water is backing up. We're on the high end. Now, it's always flooded on the back end down by Deacon Street. They've always had that issue there. But I'm on the high end. There is no reason why my yard should be completely covered with water to the point that I can't even see my driveway. And the driveway I have a big duct where the water's supposed to flow. And it's not doing that. And for them to come out, I came up here a couple years ago, and they came out and they scraped the ditch. But where did they put the dirt? They left it in the ditch. How is that going to benefit Our drains, if you're gonna scrape the dirt, it's just gonna go down there and make mud. And everybody knows what mud does when it dries. It cakes up and it blocks. Now, personally, I'm prepared to sue if water gets in my house. Because flood insurance, they're not gonna give me because I live in a no flood zone.
And I came up here and went over to the office over there to make sure, because I'm at 518 Canton Street. We are in a no flood zone and we don't have insurance. I came and complained one time about my culvert was stopped up and the water was backing up on them down on that end. I'm in the middle of the street.
Yes, ma'am.
They told me that they couldn't come over there and do anything because other people on the street were complaining.
Who are they?
And
Tell it, let the devil speak now, come on.
I think that was bad, but he ended up coming the next day because he called me personally on my cell phone because I was talking to him. I can't remember his name. He's over.
No, I don't think it was Beasley.
His name was Beasley, it was another gentleman.
Was it Donald Lawrence?
You were, my argument, she was here when I came up here and complained.
You talking about Donald Lawrence?
That's it. That's his name.
He checked to make sure that we didn't have to have flood insurance because we were in a no flood zone and the water does come around, but lately it's been backing up. My thing was clogged up, and the water was backing up down on them. They told me that they couldn't do anything because, with nobody else complaining on the street. I said, okay.
And that ain't true because I complained.
Yes, ma'am. The young lady in the middle.
Well, I'm Lucretia Morton, and I live at 220 Southwest Street. And my house did flood the 4th to 13th, 2019. I lost everything due to the flood. Red Cross and nobody else helped me. You put me up in the motel for 2 nights, also my landlord. But I'm saying I'm still having problems with the rain. Every time it rains, it floods in my yard to the point it messed up my I mean, we can't use it, we can't flush the toilet or nothing due to the flood water. And the carports, we can't get out because it all flooded up, and the workers came to my house and dig behind my house to put down drainage pipes. And when they did that, and when the storm came on the 4th, 13th, it blew up all the pipes and everything, and the water got so high, it got in my house 9 to 10 inches, where I lost TV, my baby games, and their beds and everything. But ain't nobody did nothing about that.
Yes, ma'am.
The water is really bad over there on 220 Southwest Street.
Thank you. Judge Chin.
Oh, thank you. I came in on behalf of my daughter. I don't live, well, my yard gets wet and flooded, but over on Dinkin Street, almost to Union Street, right there at that corner, Union, there are houses. I believe Coach Walsh has a house. I live there, and then that next house is my daughter's house. And when that water comes up down there, she got to get up and move down to our house, move her cars and put them over on the South Liberty Church lot where it's higher. Now this has been going on, Dr. Trudy spoke of generations. My grandson is 33, and as far back as I can remember, it's been flooding down there on Dinkin Street. You go to bed and it's raining, and you can't sleep because you're worried about the water. And then 2 or 3 days later, it's still raining. And you start getting yourself mentally prepared. I gotta get out of here, I gotta do something. We are talking about people that pay taxes, and people that are citizens, and people that vote, people that VOTE, vote. Now, something has to be done, and I'm just listening at everybody, and you know, I'm not really interested in the rhetoric. I want some action. Somebody got to do something. You know, pretty speech making is over. It's time out for that. It's nice to hear all the articulation. but somebody gotta do something. And I don't believe that there's nobody in Madison County, in Canton, that don't know how to fix it. I don't believe that. I worked out on Lakeland Drive for years, and when I first started working on Lakeland Drive, it was a swamp. It was nothing but water, and now it's nothing but industry and livelihood and people making money. And I guess maybe some rich folks out there, maybe we're not rich enough. But the other thing is this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to be here, and I'm happy that this meeting has been called. But, you know, I'm gonna listen a little bit, and I don't mean to be rude, but I'm really kinda out of the talking stage. Somebody gotta do something. The folks on these flood zones and on Deacon Street and around and about need to go to bed at night and be able to go to sleep. And not think that in the morning, when I walk in my kitchen, my ankle's gonna be up in water. Or I gotta get all this soggy carpet scraped out of here again. And God only knows what's in that filthy water.
That's right.
Every kind of doctor, every kind of disease.
Every kind of disease.
Now, I don't wanna come see you about no diseases from the water. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to me, but I know I sound a little angry, and maybe I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Lacey, you're next.
Hi, I'm Carrie Bradley, and I live on 508 North Union Street. And we flooded out, and my neighbor, Miss Connie, and Mr. Clay, and others, we flooded out, and the next door neighbor called us and said, yeah, have you looked outside? I'm like, no. So I went to the door, and I'm like, oh my God. And it had flooded all down the street and stuff. Okay, the next day, me and Miss Connie, I get out of here first, her car flooded and towed it out and stuff. So we have to clean up all the garbage and all the things that come down there. We goes and clean it up and everything like that and stuff. So one thing about it, instead of us trying to make the furniture stores rich and all these people's rich because the houses are flooding out and stuff, we'd rather see us have nice houses and keep our nice furniture in there and start making the furniture stores and everybody else rich off the flood water that's killing us. And stuff, you know, so we do need that. Thank you.
Reverend Lacey?
They might not want to hear me.
Yes, sir, we want to hear you. That's why we are here.
My problem extends way back to Mayor Sidney Renner. So that tells you how many mayors y'all been dealing with up here. I'm on the main street in this city, 421 West P Street. Is the reason I bought the building to go in the insurance business because it was on the main street. I have to get up, but it started raining. I live in my supervisor, Paul Griffin, did. I had to drive 20 miles in order to keep my building from getting flooded over these number of years. If I don't come, it's going to flood. I don't have a flood problem. I have a drain problem. I don't have a flood problem. I sell insurance. I cannot buy any insurance for flood right there because I got a drain problem. I got another insurance man right there. He can pull it up right now. I cannot buy flood insurance. I'm not in a flood zone. But I am in a drain zone. You all know that water's flooding. And nobody's done anything in 28 years. Is MDOT a problem? If it's not MDOT's problem, the MDOT says y'all's problem. Every mayor that came down there, it did zero. Aldermans, zero. Engineers, 4 of them. All of y'all didn't fire. They didn't do nothing. One came, you fired him the next week. I'm very serious now. If y'all gonna let the main street in this city flood like that, you expect everybody else to get flooded out, but the main street in the city, the police will come and sit on the railroad track and let everybody come through that water with his blue lights on. I beg and please, if you'll just stop the people from coming, the water won't push in my building. You just sit there with the lights on. That does nothing. Just let them come around. I bought this building from this city. I need y'all now to make a price to buy it back. Because I believe y'all knew some of this stuff was happening. I beg the former Mayor Al Scott, don't do what they did down there, but I'm not an engineer. I'm just a country boy, but I knew if you stopped up the drains, the water wasn't gonna run. And they all stopped there. They cut them out. So the water has nowhere to go to one drain on Peach Street. That's 421 West Peach Street. That's where all of your water come from, all the way up from OIUs to me. All of your water come from the co-op to me. All of your water come from the Chamber of Commerce to me. Go watch it. Anybody can see it. Water finds the lowest point, and I'm there.
That's it.
It comes from Fulton, Cameron Street, all the way back there where that school is at, that water run all the way back from there. All you gotta do is come down there when it rains, you'll find it. It runs all the way from back there just to find this one drain. It is not big enough to carry that water. Your street is built at a high rise. No water goes over to the north side, it all comes over to the south side. And that's where I am. MDOT says it's your problem. Y'all says MDOT. Who owns the street? It says 421 West Peach Street. Who is that? Is that MDOT? Or is that the city? I want to find out whose street it is first. Because we've been riding on the street, we thought we was in Canton. But MDOT says, y'all says it's Highway 22. MDOT says it's Peach Street. So what is it?
What
If
it
it's
is-
Peach Street, it belongs to y'all.
Well,
Y'all rent the street? What's happening?
I wish. The fact of the matter is that this has been happening with you for a long period of time. Too long. And you need larger drains. Not only do you need larger drains, hopefully our engineers can redirect that water. And so what we're going to be talking about with everybody, with the help of the county, we have 2 county supervisors here, with the help of the city, with the help of CMU, and with the help of our congressman, we're going to put our minds together and attack this problem. Your problem is not unique, but it's specific, and it has a long life. Ms. Sherry's problem has a long life. All of these problems have a long life. And I said to you today that we now understand, we should have understood years ago. But we're committed to addressing this issue, Reverend Lacey. And when I say that we are committed, this time we are committed. And we will start running and working hard for everybody.
I got one proposal.
Yes, sir.
Y'all buy my building and ship me over to the Chamber of Commerce where it doesn't rain and put it back through. Ain't nobody in it, so I can go over there.
That's not a bad idea.
That's the proposal right there. Y'all put that on your menu. That's the proposal.
All right. Thank you. This gentleman here, could you state your name, please?
My name is Charlie Whitehead, and I was here at the last meeting before. Now, up there on Martin Luther King, coming down that Chris did, you said, I heard you say it several times that it was when you don't know where the hot spot. You know that's a hot spot.
That's a hot spot.
That's a hot spot. You don't have to register because everybody know that too. Why? Because when it rains, it floods, everybody piled up over there on top of that bridge. You know that's a hot spot. You ain't got to register. So my question is, what you gonna do to redirect that water to go out? Now, I right over here in front of the food stamp office, you know, coming that little street that coming straight through, you gonna cut, drain, you know, from that little street to the big ditch. But yet still, that coming straight, it coming off of that street faster, but it coming where? Straight down on us.
Straight down on you.
Yeah.
Well, what happens here over there at Bachelor's Creek or Creek's Hole, one, the water has nowhere to flow. Because by the time you get to the cul-de-sac of Isabella, with all of the trees and the forest and the debris that actually stops and blocks that flow of water, it spills over into folks' homes. So what really has to happen, that entire ditch has to be cleaned out all the way.
Yes.
I just wanted you to say that.
Yes.
I said
I've
it.
been saying that all the time.
Yes.
It has to be cleaned out all the way.
Yeah, in 79, when it flooded, that Coliseum was flooded, it didn't flood at my house. Why? Because that ditch was clean.
Right, right.
And that ditch has been cleaned since, so anything hit it wasn't, it's just like anything in your body, your blood get clogged up, what are you gonna do? You're gonna stop.
That's right.
You're gonna back up. And so that water the same way. That water coming down, that ditch hadn't been clean, and God knows when. And everything it stopped. It slows down, and when and water gonna force something in. It gonna force it somewhere, water going somewhere. And so when it gets up, it just, when you see that ditch came to the top, you better get the hightail.
And it happens fast, very fast.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Would you stand, please, Miss Timothy Van Buren?
Yes. My name is Timothy Van Buren Davis.
Miss Davis?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And the house, I have a house on Harvey Walking Drive, 502 Harvey Walking Drive. Okay, I've been over there ever since 71. And that water's been getting up, but it had never got to my house before. But this last time, it got to my house and it came in under the doors. I didn't lose no furniture, nothing, but it came in under the doors. And I was told years ago that Bear Creek goes down through there. And Bear Creek gets stopped up and nobody cleans it out. Plus the ditches are grown up, and, you know, people throwing trash in the ditches. And then when they came through there and put that Nissan Parkway, they built the land up, you know, for the parkway. So in essence, that water is coming down, back down on us, which is making it worse than what it was at first. It have came and jumped over Redbud Drive and went over in Reverend Jackson their house, in their yard. But it's never got in mine before until this last time. And the ditches over there on Harvey Walking Drive, on 3rd Avenue, all those ditches, they really need digging out, but nobody's digging them out. You know, and those apartments and everything, the water's coming up further on them than it has been this time. So at one time, I'm speaking from experience what I know, they were buying those houses out over there because the engineer or somebody had said that where the park is, that the houses should have been there, and the park where the houses are. Yeah. But all of a sudden it came to a standstill. Nobody bought any more houses or nothing. But the thing of it is that we all need to come together as one. And we need to, and y'all gonna get some people, you say, some engineers and everything to tell us what's what. But we need to come together and we need to get in there and we need to clean those ditches and things out, and that would help eliminate some of this water. You know, we can stand here and go on and on and on, and that ain't gonna do nothing. You know, Jesus had made one step and he'll help. But we just stand here running our mouths and not doing nothing. And that trailer park, it's helpless, it's hopeless. It's nothing, you know, that water gets up on in that trailer park and it backs up. You can't go this way, you can't, in a sense, we just hopeless if we go down Redbud going east and turn on Walnut Street. Then when you get to Fulton Street and come down, just like Mr. Lacey said, you're going into water. The last time it rained, my grandbaby lived over here on Canal Street. I couldn't even get in her driveway. The water was up, and it was in her house, you know. And you ain't gonna pull in that driveway, and you don't know where the ditch is. You might try to feel your way to get into, you know, into the house. So I had to make 2 circles around, and then she finally got out and pulled her shoes off and went on in the house. But I came back around Northwest Street with the funeral home on, coming down that way, water across the street. So I backed up, because I could back up then, and I came down Liberty Street and went down Center Street, that water crossed there. And I get over on 4th Street and water crossed there. You know, and it's water getting up everywhere. And when they do that, you catch the blues getting out of town, out of Canton, you know. And the reason why I'm saying this is because of the fact that it's happening. And you know, I own a house in the country too, not trying to be smart. And I was going there to spend the night that night. But it's ridiculous and it's sad that every time the water gets up, this happens, you know. So instead of us sitting here, as I first stated, talking this and saying that, we need to do like those people did in Jackson, roll our sleeves up and get out there and help get it done. Because it can be done, but you got to put down some bigger pipes. They supposed to be put down. No, it's been longer than 10 years ago. And they supposed to put down some bigger pipes then, but the pipes never got put down, the ditches never got cleaned out, or nothing. And then the concern is garbage. The garbage men used to pick up all the garbage. You didn't have no certain day to put no couches and stuff like that down. You put it all out at the same time. The garbage men got it. But now we got a day to do this, a day to do that, and then that's when the garbage is being put in the ditches and everything. Just like the lady said back there, you set it out and the people don't come pick it up. You can call them, they don't pick it up, but they'll tell you the day to pick it up, and that day is, you put it out there and that same day, and then it might be 2 weeks before they come pick it up. Thank you.
This young lady here. Who's, okay.
Do we have a drainage crew that's already established to be working on drainage?
Well, we have a drainage crew, which is Public Works, that actually works on drainage. We have a lot more work to do as it relates to blowing our drains out, as it relates to cleaning them out, as it relates to the flow of the water. And that's what this meeting is all about. One, to hear from you some of these problems that we are aware of. We have developed a plan to address these issues, and it starts from A, and it goes to B, and C, and D, and E.
So what would be A?
A would be, one, identification of what it is that we can do. For an example, we can clean out our Bachelor Creek because it actually obstructs the flow of water. That's number one. That's man-made. That is something that the city can do. As you watch that Bachelor Creek or Creosote as it flows all the way over to Bear Creek, you have a lot of blockage and a lot of obstruction due to a lot of reasons. That is something that we have not done, Mr. Kelly, but we can do and we will do. Number three, some of these drains are just too small. And they're not carrying this water. Number four, a lot of the water that happens at Dinkins and Union and over there in 6th and 7 can actually be redirected into a retention, into a lake. But that's where we bring our engineers in. That's where we estimate costs. That's where we make the decision that we really want to do something about this. The water over by Old Harold Chevrolet, that water can be redirected. The water on Soldier Colony Road, that water can be redirected. I don't know if you guys realize, but we're not that much different from New Orleans, where we really sit in a bowl, where everybody's water is draining down on us. And that's one of the things that we haven't talked about. Yeah, we have a lot of problems. Can we solve them today? No. Are we committed to solve them? Yes. And Mr. Kelly, I don't want you to ever say when July gets here, they ain't doing nothing. I promise you that we're going to start and get this done. We're going to create the plan. We have the vision. We're gonna bring the experts in, and we're going to address this issue of flooding from all levels.
Feel like a couple of backhoes and a couple of good guys and all this.
I understand. Yes. Yeah. Let me. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay. My name is Cherie Thompson, and I'm talking on behalf of the property on 558 Isabella Street. You mentioned the dead end part of Isabella Street and all of the flooding. The main concern, as you mentioned, is the debris behind that Crisco ditch. Another concern you mentioned also, the ball was dropped, and I thank you for admitting that, because somewhere along the line, the engineers, I guess, forgot about Isabella Street, because there's only 2 houses on Isabella Street that was built on the slab. Everyone else's house is built up from the ground. So, and this is my mother's home. So her home is gonna always flood. The engineer came out years ago and said this house is gonna always flood because it's sitting on the ground. Now, years ago, I guess they deemed the house next to her as not livable, however the engineers write it up, and they knocked that house down. Now it's just vacant. And they should have did the same thing for 558, because both of those houses was built the same. And this past, 3 times since the house has flooded. And this past month, Red Cross came out and said they couldn't even do anything about it. When you have water past the couches in the home. And the first thing they mentioned is flood insurance. Well, every time the house floods, flood insurance go up. So she's running into a problem now where, how can I afford my mortgage now because it's going up? And then you have the potholes out in the front. There's a lot of kids on Isabella Street. And I've called the city, I called City Hall, and asked about putting something out there in that pothole. What they did, they came out, they put a little barrel out there. Well, when the flood waters come, it goes right on off with the water. So then you get kids out there playing and they fall off in them holes. I mean, it's like you all wait till someone get hurt. Or someone, like you said, people can't go to sleep because they looking out, worrying about the water coming into their home. She was asleep in her house. Neighbors beating on the door trying to wake her up. Water was already to her ankles by the time she got up. So, one, I just want an engineer to come out to Isabella Street, because if they can knock down that house that was right there and relocate those people, we need to see about relocating her, because I don't want to get a phone call that my mom has passed away with the waters, or went off with the water or something. She can't sell the house. People, people so easy to say, just move. Who want to buy a house in a flood zone? And just like she said, when you buy a house at X amount of dollars and then somebody make you an offer, you done lost money. You with that, a low ball offer that they making on, because they know the value of it, they can't get rid of it. So the flood insurance increasing is a problem. Every time they flood, the debris in the ditches, and that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chancy Griffin. I'm actually from Brandon, Mississippi. I don't reside in Canton, but I wanted to discuss the loss that I incurred on May 9th. I was down here as a traveling nurse contracted through Canton Public Schools, and I was coming down King Ranch Road, and my car flooded. My car was deemed a total loss by the insurance company. I was just about done paying for my vehicle. After the insurance company paid off the vehicle, there still was a $1,500 deductible that the insurance company gave to me, and now I'm without a vehicle, unable to get to work, and without a vehicle, I don't have a way to get back and forth to work, which is maybe late on other things, I missed other things due to this. This is not an issue of my own. The issue that I have with it is there was no type of signs, no types of barricades, anything warning me that these were flood zones. Once I was rescued by an innocent bystander, he informed me that this area was an area that flooded frequently. So by me not being from this area, I had no knowledge or no way to know that this is a flood area. And I'm basically just here to say I really do. I need some assistance. I need some help with this, because this was nothing that I signed up for per se, you know. I lost my vehicle, I'm without anything, and I have no way to get to work.
You, ma'am, you need to get that gentleman's card for you.
Is Albert coming back?
Yeah, you gonna get a call.
Okay, Stan, I need to hear from you.
Good evening. My name is Sonny Payton, and also behind Joelle's now is 613 West Academy.
Yes, ma'am.
Those ditches is really ridiculous. It needs somebody to come in there and clean it. I know we done talked about all of this here. We done talked about this, but we need something done. And then I know you all hear on the radio all the time. I work with Friends of Children, Head Start. I know you all hear that we have to close because it's flood over there in that building. And if you go over there and take pictures, we got sandbags all the way around the building trying to keep the water out. And this has been going on for a long time. And I know that you all, down there at the House Chevrolet, I guess that's why they moved. All that water is coming on back over there under Head Start. And many times we cannot go to work. And when we see the cloud coming up and it's raining, we have to get people to come in and stack the furniture up, trying to save it, because, insurance ain't gonna keep on giving you no money. And you're in this flood zone. So I think that those children cannot come to school. I know you all hear Jerry Lusto on the radio. Head Start is closed today because of the flood. And we need some help at that school. And I'm asking you all, if you will, go over there and look. Those children need. We can't go to work, and they can't come to school. So we need you all to come over and help us, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Barbara Thomas.
I live at 118 Oak Street, which is north of Canton off of Highway 51, Green Acre subdivision. My house is the only house that floods. Number one, because of one exception my previous alderman made. They actually put 30-inch pipes, two, in a 10-inch hole, in a 10-inch ditch. One exception has cost me, as of 2019, $20,000 in flooding. I don't have flood insurance. This last round, I don't have it. Not only that, my toilet's backed up. I'm in there fighting the toilet, trying to get the drainage system working in the bathroom, not knowing it's flooding my family room. It flooded my entire home. I have no flood insurance. I'm a single parent. That ditch, those 30-inch pipes should have never been placed in that 10-inch ditch, unless you were planning to open that ditch all the way past my house and give me the same courtesy as you did for whomever you placed those pipes there for, the same courtesy of putting those pipes down behind my house. That water flood comes running off 51 North, 51 East, into this main drainage. My house is the last house on Oak Street. If you ever want to come out when it's raining, you would think the levee broke. That's how it rushes into my home, affecting me and my kids. No one thought about me. If my alderman at that time would have asked me, how do you think this will affect you and your family? Now the ditch, sure, it's grown up. It needs cleaning out. That's just a temporary fix. I need a permanent solution to my problem. I can't afford to continue to pay out $10,000, $7,000. I can't do it. I can't afford to move. So I need some help. We all are here to get help. And we expect our aldermen to come out and see, before you make an exception, know how it's gonna affect that next person. Not only that, but everybody in this room. Everything, every cupboard that is blocked, stopped up, it's not your fault. So when you hear it on the radio tomorrow that say that you got couches in the ditches, no, that's not the case. Because my drainage don't get cleaned out. When my sewage can back up in my house, damage all of my bedroom because it's in the center of my home. The flood water's coming through the back and the front. In the center of my home is sewage. It cost me $7,500. Bacteria. Surf Pro coming in to steam it down to kill the bacteria. Replacing sheetrock. What are we doing? All I ask is that all of our aldermen be knowledgeable of what you do, because for every action there is a reaction. And every person sitting in here deserves a better reaction than what I've got. Yes. And I want to thank you all.
Thank you. I want to hear, Tavares, you held your hand up, then Stan, and then I'm going to introduce you to Abbott Jones.
In my subdivision, there are, I don't know the correct term. I don't know the difference between a retention pond and a detention pond, but there are 4 of them in my subdivision. How many are across, when new developers come here to build new houses and new apartments, how many are required to be put in those subdivisions to prevent or to sustain the flooding from happening?
That's a very good question. When Walmart came, they had 1 retention pond, as I recall. The Lynx has 1 retention pond that looks like a lake. So under building and zoning now, you have to put those retention ponds in to direct that water, which I think is quite helpful. Stan?
What do you want me to address?
Everything and anything.
I guess as it relates to the flooding, working with housing here, we tried to get it FEMA or MEMA to declare a disaster for many of you all. Unsuccessful with working with, however, we may be able to go back, and now we've got the representative here, maybe an opportunity to go back. So what really needs to happen, first of all of y'all that had damages, those names need to be collected and dollar amounts. And if we can get the governor to go back and declare this, then there may be some assistance for some people. As it relates to the flooding, I'm new to Canton. I've been here, I guess, 20-something years now. But I've studied the demographics for many years. Canton is at the bottom of the volcano that sits at the park in Jackson. I can't think of the park.
Lake Hyco.
Not Lake Hyco, the other park off of 55 there. That was a volcano at one time. Right off of Lakeland, between Lakeland and 55 there. LaFleur's Bluff. We're at the bottom of the volcano. And y'all may not realize, even though we're north, all the water from all of the development that has been done in Gluckstadt, Madison, and North Jackson, all of that water comes this way on us, on its way to the Big Black River via the Bear Creek. And what happens, the Big Black is here, and we're trying to dump water in. As the mayor said, we're gonna have to have some retention ponds. You may make some recreational lakes in order to make this thing work. But it's gonna be very difficult. The plan can be worked, but what we're all gonna have to do is kind of roll up our sleeves. If you see something in your yard, ditch, let's kind of help the service department out. Let's get it cleaned out. Even if you have to do it yourself. Sometimes, I lived in a small town in Louisiana, I had to sometimes clean my own ditch out. And I know it's tough, and I'm not saying that's a solution. What I'm saying, that's a help. But also,
Where are we supposed to put it? And you want us to help it to clean it out, where are we gonna put it?
I should put it on the street. They have to come get it. I'm saying if you put it on the street, it has to block the street or something. But what I'm saying, I'd rather have it on the street or in my yard than to have my yard flooded if my ditch is the problem. But what they're saying is, as Alderman said, that Bachelor's Creek has to be cleaned out. That thing is stopped up. That's a lot of your north flooding. A lot of your south flooding is ever since they built those roads, all that water comes back here. And let's face it, we're sitting in a bowl. It's gonna take, I've talked with the mayor, I've looked at the engineering statistics, it's gonna take $20 million to get this problem solved. It's not going, I'm shooting you, they're politicians, I'm giving you the fact, it's gonna take $20 million, pretty much roughly, to get this situation resolved. Because you're sitting in a bowl, you gotta either have some canals, or you gotta have some retention to get this water out of here. to keep it from the housing units that are located within the city. We've done some renovation on some apartments, and we've gotten flooded, I think, 4 times. We've had to call ServPro. They're ready to cancel our insurance. So I'm facing the same thing you all are facing as it relates to development. But I know the mayor has a plan, and the aldermen, because we've talked about it, they've committed to it. They said, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we have to do, and we don't have a choice in it, because otherwise it's only gonna get worse. And as you said, first plan, clean the ditches out. Second plan is create a plan to try to stop the water from getting to the house. What that may be, it may mean a huge retention pond somewhere. One on the north side, one on the south side. That's the only way I can see that you can get the water out. Now, what that may hurt some of it, there may be some eminent domain, because they may have to take some land in order to build these retention ponds. Because they gotta keep the water so they can slowly let the water sift out, so they can eventually get the water out. So that may mean some buyouts. You said, why nobody bought you out? Even FEMA does not want to give fair market value to the houses that they're buying out. Somebody mentioned down south, that's why a lot of people didn't sell out, because they couldn't get a full value for their homes in order to go and buy another house. So that was one of the issues that we've been working on, trying to come up with some additional soft money, so that when they make you an offer, we can put some soft money with your money to buy you out. Those that are on the end of Dinkins and streets over there in Redbud that are flooding, because that is a floodplain.
Let me do this. I need y'all to hear from our Chief of Emergency Management first, who is Mr. Abbott Jones. Then I need you to hear from the county. And then I need you to hear from the Congressman's office. And then I need you to stand up, Eric. I need you to hear from the head of our flooding committee, Mr. Eric Gilby and Drew Grant. So Abbott, I'm coming back. Don't think I'm not. I'm gonna come back. Go ahead.
I can answer Red Cross because I don't have anyone here from Red Cross. But as emergency management, which falls under the county, what we do, I work hand in hand with Chief Hughes. And for the flood, when it does flood, my office, we go out and assist them at getting people out the house. And we always ask everyone, do you want to leave? Do you want to leave? Ma'am, sir, give me your name and the address. But when we don't get that cooperation, we can't do anything. We have I'm gonna call it a login to what we report to me. Like when we go out and do damage assessment, where we are, we put that address in and it goes straight to me. And for the state, we have to reach a threshold. And if we don't meet that goal with the threshold, we don't get any assistance. But if we meet it, then MEMA will send somebody back out to come and assess the situation, and then FEMA will come down and assess the situation. But that's why we always ask, when my office come out, along with Canton Fire, do y'all need to go? Did y'all have any damage? And a lot of people say, well, we're not gonna report it because no one's gonna do anything. But that's hurting you all, because every time we go out, whether it's 3 or 4 times, we still need you all information, because they do a big tally at the end of everything before they make a judgment call and see where we are, the threshold for the state of Mississippi. So when we come out, please cooperate. You know, give us your information. We know that it's not, you know, we not coming to you all asking y'all, do y'all have insurance on your house for negative, for anything negative? No, we just had to fill out that on this little, to what we have with MEMA, we have to fill that out, and that's all the portion. That's a portionnaire sheet that we had to get. And the only thing is asking for your name, address, whether you own the house, rent it, and that's what we do. But I can't answer the question about Red Cross, you know, because I don't know what you have to meet with them, but I can answer for the support group for the city of Canton up under Madison County Emergency Management. So when we do have flooding problems, please cooperate, because when we come out, risk our lives in the boat, in the water, you know, whether you get snake bit, currents in the water, whiteout, miles, we there. So please cooperate with us, and what we give to y'all off the county.
Thank you. Paul, I'm coming to you in the back.
I have patience.
Ma'am?
I have nothing but patience.
Okay. Paul?
Good evening. Most of y'all addresses y'all gave, wasn't in my district. Oak Street, where the lady got Oak Street. You used in my district. We, the county, is having problems on King Ranch Road, flooding. Jody Street, Wayne, Davis Street. We gonna do something, whether it gonna help or whether it gonna make it worse. We gonna make an attempt to do something. We got problems out there on Way Road. We don't know what to do out there. But we gonna hire somebody to go out there and tell us what we need to do. But they're gonna come back whether we gonna be able to afford what they tell us what we need to do. It always come back to a money issue and personnel. I'm willing to work with the city any way possible. I know that Crisco ditch runs somewhere and come out on King Ranch Road. Is that bridge I'm thinking down there in the curve? I will commit to you that we will start working on getting a temporary easement to get on these people's property to clean that ditch out. The city or the county can't go in there and just clean out a ditch if it don't own the ditch. You have to have a legal document signed before you can get in on someone else's private property. Our road manager that's not here today, he already is setting up plans to go in and clean out those covers on King Ranch Road. Whether they gonna do any good, I don't know, but we gonna do something. What you can do, along with me, to help a little on the way, tell your neighbor, tell your friend, don't throw your trash, don't throw your furniture where it can get washed into the ditch out there on Way Road. The problem there is not on Way Road. It's in that creek somewhere on down, maybe a mile on down that road, where logs been cut, and they threw the trees and the limbs into the creek, that making the water back up on Way Road and going into people's houses. And that's some of the same problems that you got here with the Crystal Ditch. Somewhere where trees have grown taller and bigger over the last 30 years, all those trees been cut and threw in that ditch, and it restrict the water from going through. I'm a country boy. I know about creeks and water. Water don't run uphill fast. It gonna go downhill. And it gonna find a way to go downhill, whether they going in your house or anywhere else. But keep in mind, the county has a budget, and I know the city have a tight budget. So that's what you got to come down to, money and personnel. Personnel, you got to have a supervisor, not me supervisor, boss, to make sure you're getting the best work out of your personnel. Couple backhoes and digging out that, you got to be able to own a backhoe. You got to buy a backhoe. If the city don't have a backhoe, you got to go buy a backhoe to do that, Mr. Lee. So I don't know what type of equipment they got. I think we got 2 or 3 backhoes, and this for a whole county. And this equipment don't come cheap. And I'm not making an excuse for nobody. I've been in this game 20 years. I know what it takes to make something happen. Money is one. Good personnel is two. If you got those two things, you can make something happen. Well, that's why we're gonna be calling on the congressman. See, can our congressman deliver some money here?
Thank you.
I'm gonna pass it on to the District 4 supervisor if he got anything.
All right, Bishop.
King Ranch Road, you got Holmes Avenue, get to King Ranch, turn right. Everything on the right is in District 5. All them others is in District 4. I probably got about 5% out there. That's Jody Drive, Wayne Drive, and Davis Drive, streets like that.
Thank you, Paul, appreciate that. For those of you who don't know me, I'm David Bishop, Supervisor District 4. And thank you, Mayor Tree, for inviting me tonight.
Thank you.
And what I've been hearing, the flooding, and this year's been extremely wet. And I've actually talked to Supervisor Griffin about King Ranch Road, trying to find some way to clean up the ditches. But I found out, after thinking about this is not a single process problem. It really isn't. First thing is you got to have the plan, which Mayor Truly said, but then you got to work the plan, okay? And the main thing I've been listening to, even out in the county where I've been, have a lot of flooding. A big problem is like Reverend Lacey said, we don't have a flood problem, we have a drainage problem. And what that means is when you clean out a culvert, you don't clean out the front of the culvert. You clean out the culvert all the way through, okay? And a lot of times, we have not been proactive in this process. We have failed in some things. We have not been proactive, we have been reactive. We just react to the problem, then we jump on it. But then you do that, you got the problem over here, especially when it's raining really hard. And I'm thinking what we really need to be is, when it's not raining, we need to have those crews out there during the dry season, cleaning these ditches and these pipes, and then when it does rain, then you exactly see where your hot spots are. Because your water is running freely. But when you're putting out fires like we've been doing for many, many years, it's hard to see where the hot spots are because they're all clogged up, they're all hot spots. And nobody deserves to live in a place that they have to worry about getting out of their house at any time. And the county has been working here lately very hard on trying to find a plan to help alleviate these floods. And I think, I'm not an engineer, I know there's some big culverts, there's some small culverts, but I would imagine these culverts were put in under the criteria that was demanded at that time. But if they're not cleaned out, and I've been riding around a lot, I've looked at culverts along the road, and I guarantee, well, not guarantee, but I would assume that there's probably 75% of it that I've seen that really need to be cleaned out. And again, I've seen furniture, I've seen trash. We have to help each other. The thing about it is, us as a county, we're willing to help the city. We want to work with the city of Canton any way we possibly can. But like Supervisor Griffin said, it all comes down to a few things: money, personnel. And personnel need equipment. And it all takes money. But my main concern is we have to be proactive, and when it's not raining outside like it is today, these crews should be out there cleaning up these culverts. They really need to be. Not when it's raining, it's too late then. Let's do it, and again, it's a proactive process, and if we do that, it's not going to alleviate the whole problem. But it's step one. Give the water a place to go. Then when it does rain, you find out where your hot spots are, and then in your plan, then you can work on those, one step at a time. And again, it's been flooding here for many, many years. I remember back in the 80s, when I was in the insurance business, and I walked the streets of Canton for many years. And back then it was flooding. So I've been here for a long time, I know what's going on. But now, me being in a position where I can kind of talk about this, I think, and we'll help Canton any way we possibly can, because it is a problem. It's not just a problem here, but everywhere there's a culvert, it's a problem. So I'm going to make this stand that we need to do a proactive approach to this, start cleaning these culverts out, and if we can do anything to help the city of Canton, we want to help. We really do. That being said, again, King Ranch Road, me and Supervisor Griffin for the last couple of months been talking about this, trying to find a way to alleviate the flooding and a few other problems out there. But again, it all comes down to the money, and that's what we're always trying to find. And that's a full-time job sometimes. But anyway, again, we want to help the best we can. And again, if I had a plan, that'd be the first thing I would do is actually have a crew just set aside for cleaning these things out during the summertime when it's not raining. If they're sitting at the shop and doing nothing, sitting out there, that plans for cooking. Thank you.
Steve, and then Eric. I'm coming.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. On behalf of Congressman Benjamin Thompson, Mississippi 2nd District, it gives me great pleasure to be here today. A couple things. I'm glad to hear the city, the county, the state, and the feds working together. So let me tell you this. Now, I don't know how many of you guys follow the bond money that the state issued this past session. Can anybody tell me? What kind of money? Bond money. So, bond money come through your state legislature, they allocate money based upon your district. So I don't think Canton got any bond money. I don't think so. But anyway, I just want to talk about some of the federal agencies that may be able to assist. And I was talking to the mayor earlier, Mississippi Central Planning Development District. They work on your behalf. So they get federal dollars to do things for you. So I'm just saying, we need to call them. Also, DRA, they get federal dollars. Canton is a part of the district. So my understanding, DRA got money now. So I think Canton is gonna submit the application to get some money to help with the, I heard a lot about draining, so hopefully that will help. Now, working together, just not when it's election time, but all the time. So that's important. That's important now. So also, soil conservation may be able to help clean out some of these ditches. So, we'll follow with the mayor. We'll ask those folks to come. Also, the Corps of Engineers. They do some things. So, we just gotta follow up with folks and do the work for the citizens of Canton, Mississippi. Thank you.
Eric.
Good afternoon, good evening. Just want to take a moment to kind of briefly talk to this body here today as relates to what has been going on as relates to flooding. One of the reasons why we're here today is simply because, we keep, like a lot of the people out in the audience said before, we keep hearing the same old song, same old story each and every day. Every time it rains, we'll go out and do the same thing. We'll assess the problem, but we don't do anything with it. And that's been our Achilles heel as relates to flooding here in Canton. We have not taken a proactive approach. We're more or less been in a reactive approach. And I had came to the mayor's office and I explained to him, I said, Mayor, we got to do more than talk. For years and years, we talk the same old story. And as I look out in the audience, I see some of the same people that houses that I visit and said to them, we're going to do something about flooding. And that has only been talk. And I apologize for that. And again, Ms. Hawkins, I visit her numerous occasions. We talk about the same things over and over. We try to put a Band-Aid on it, but nevertheless, it doesn't go any further than that. Mr. Whitehead, I made a commitment to him. I said, Mr. Whitehead, we're going to make a commitment and an honest attempt to make sure that we stop all the rhetoric, the talk, just to kind of appease, I guess, the constituents for those, particular moments. And it bothers me a lot that I have to, I don't mind, but get out of my bed at night as well to ensure that, these families who are affected by this flooding, has a place to stay, a place to go, and don't get flooded out to the point where they have nowhere to go. And it keeps me up at night as well. And it is very disheartening to be put in a position to where it's almost like you're the chosen person to protect them or to offer help or direct them to help and can't do anything. So again, I spoke to the mayor and I said, hey, Mayor, you know, we gotta get more folks involved than this. And as you see today, is one reason why, along with some of the other board members, we have Mr. Thompson also, Mr. Bishop, and Mr. Griffin here, because a lot of these districts border their districts. So again, you know, we talk about funding. You know, no one wants to hear that we don't have enough money to do X, Y, Z basics. And as you see, some people talk about we have, you know, Public Works Department just driving past our street, they don't pick up trash, they don't do this, they don't do that. Yeah, we see it too. But trust me, you know, we're trying our best and we're doing some things, I guess, that are, I guess, things that you don't see. But somehow they're not working, and we just have to do a better job. So again, hopefully, you know, this here is one of the, is the beginning of a new beginning for us to actually dig deep and provide opportunities and resolutions to some of these problems that we have here in Canton. Because again, there are problems that we can deal with and we can handle. And trust me, we're going to put forth a valid effort in resolving these issues. But again, Miss, out there on Oak Street, one of the persons I know in Miss Anna, she spoke about flooding over there in her area, and she's the only house that floods. And she speaks about the alderman at that time. I don't mind admitting, that was me. But at that time that we put those culverts down, again, we didn't consult with the, you know, the constituents out there in that area. And for that, I do apologize. But we actually had our experts, or our, you know, pretty much our experts that kind of guided us in that particular project that we performed out there on the Oak Street area. And again, sometimes when you get additional information, you know, you do better. So again, I do apologize for that, but nevertheless, you know, it was at that time the information that was given to us, and we proceeded as relates to that. But as we go forward, I assure you that anything that takes place within any ward that affects the masses, such as flooding and all that, and once we start the process of kind of mitigating some of these problems, we're going to make sure that we do a better job of communicating with the community and getting them involved and giving them the empowerment to, I guess, take part in some of these changes that are taking place here in Canton. So again, I'm sorry, and just like you know, case in point, Miss Linda, she owns a house there, MLK, which is in Ward 6, and Ward 6 is a heavily hit area every time it floods. Not to say some of the other wards don't get affected, you know, pretty much, but for the most part, Ward 6 get hit pretty hard. And her constituents or her homeowners actually, you know, to tell a little story, actually it flooded out of her house, and she had her homeowners or people who lived in there had a dog in the backyard. We called the animal control to come down and try to go in and save the dog or whatever. He decided he didn't want to, because he didn't bring his boat. The young lady, the family was sending a little girl out there to get him to go in the water to bring the dog around front. She was afraid, she cried. I said to myself, what should I do? The more I looked and saw that little girl cry, the more I took the risk of saying to myself, you know, I'll take that chance. I walk in the backyard, untie the dog, roll the dog around the house. And that right there said to me that we got to do something, we gotta be committed, and we gotta do more than talk. And that's all we've ever done in the past is talk. But as we stand today, one of the reasons why I got on Doc to say, hey, the board need to hear from people like you, not just me as an individual, because I can't get anything, I'm not saying I can't get anything done, but a lot of times things fall on deaf ear. When it falls on deaf ear with these guys here, it tends to kind of trickle down and falls on deaf ear. It fell on deaf ear with me as well. So again, these guys here and girls are committed to making, to take a stronger stance, do more than just talk, do more than just listen. We're gonna take some action. So if y'all would please, as we go forward, it takes time. But we're gonna show you that we're gonna take an active approach towards resolving these issues. So again, I thank you for coming. If there's anything that I can do in the interim, feel free to let me know. I've been tasked to be the committee liaison or the lead person for this flood mitigation, along with Mr. Andrew Grant and Ms. Daphne Sim, whose areas are devastated, pretty bad when it rains. So again, we owe it to you. And again, I sincerely apologize for the lackadaisical approach. And I know again that, you're tired of hearing us speak. But again, this board right here has committed to you, and that we're gonna hold, and we hope that you hold us to it, and we're gonna hold to our word. Thank you.
And yes, ma'am, you've been so patient.
I told you I had the patience. My name is Gloria Mitchell. I live at 604 Sanford Street. And behind my house, there's a big old ditch, whatever they call it. Frisco ditch. Now it's filling up, and it's coming all the way up to my steps. This past time, it came all the way up to the driveway. I had to go through my truck.
What's your address?
604 Singleton Street.
Yes, ma'am.
That's my address, that's where I live. So now, when it rains, I have to sit up half the night to see if I'm gonna get flooded. It just takes all my sleep watching the water. And it just seems like I done went over to those guys that do the work, and I done had to come to the house, they'll come in, they dig a little dirt out of the ditch, and then they gone. We need some answers, and they build those low-income apartments down for me. The guy that don't know the apartments, so they disconnected their sewer line from the city main line, and he told me, from now on, we gonna be getting completely flooded out, and he did not. He definitely did not like that. I wanna know today, when are you all gonna start making progress? Cause I came back and moved back up in '06, and it started getting worse in the last 3 or 4 years. And I just wanna know, what are you gonna do and when you gonna start doing it instead of having these dudes making all these promises?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me address Ms. Mitchell. Ms. Mitchell lives, like she said, over on Singleton Street, which is in Ward 6. And again, I'm sorry. And again, I didn't actually hear, but and it brought laughter. But if you don't mind, you can state your statement so I can actually hear. You said something like, I guess it's.
Oh, then she said she guesses she's done.
Yeah, and, because I want to make sure I address it because this is a very serious issue. And I think as we have stood here today, some of our main problems, such as like Mr. Whitehead, yourself, Ms. Hawkins, Isabella, I think some more MLK. All those areas right there has some similar characteristics. And those characteristics as relates to flooding is that Crisco ditch. It needs to be cleaned out. Once you clean that Crisco ditch out, once they clean that Crisco ditch out, I think that's going to probably alleviate most of the issues over there in those particular areas that I just spoke of. So again, you spoke on when we're going to start putting some action. That's something that we can do in the interim. And as we, I guess, conclude here as relates to this particular meeting here, we're going to assemble again and address the concerns that y'all have had out here in the audience and see what we can do, as they call the low-hanging fruits, to see what we can do in the interim. And all those bigger projects, we'll develop a plan of action to see how we can actually pull some federal funding down to actually, resolve those particular issues. So as relates to the question that you asked, I think those are some concerns that we can address, on the front end.
Tomorrow,
Yeah, let me do this.
I wish it was that soon. We're gonna start the plan tomorrow.
Let me do this. Let me do this, please, because we're just about near the end, And I really want you to hear briefly from the governing authorities of the city of Canton. Briefly, Les Penn. Sir, you didn't. You're on.
Oh, thank you, Mayor.
I'm coming. Go ahead, Les.
Okay. What Supervisor Griffin and I were just speaking about, and Alderman Grant, you can help me with this after the meeting. In 2013, we actually started getting a lot of addresses for easements and whatnot. If you remember when we talked about the ditches, and we might still have a lot of that on file, which will be helpful. But something that's in my ward that's happening sounds like 25, 30 years ago in a lot of y'all's areas that y'all are now experiencing, in which we need to help, not happen today. Because I know no one wants more people going through what they're going through. So at 753 Cathy Circle, what's going on right now is 20 years ago, the ditch was cleaned out where they live. And over the years, it hasn't been cleared out. And this ditch runs from north of Dinkin Street, comes behind through Cathy Circle, Catherine Drive, in between the Parkway and Dinkin Street, and comes out behind Harold Chevrolet. And we all know the water that comes out down South 51 at Harold Chevrolet. Anyway, on January 19th of this year, the water, they've never had flood issues. Well, now the water is coming up to their steps. And then on April 14th this year, the water got so high and the current was so strong, it tore down their chain link fence. So, they had property damage, and this is a flood area. So, like a lot of areas that have been talked about tonight, there is no insurance option. And then, and listen to a lot of you speak tonight, it's just like car insurance. When they would say, well, get flood insurance, well, you get it, but once you use it, it costs more. And you use it again, it keeps going and keeps going. And so my issue is a lot of the area in my ward, the main area that floods the most is nothing but, open land. That's all south of, Harold Chevrolet to the Parkway. But the area of mine that is starting to flood is from what a lot of the area over here, especially MLK, that I know that Alderman Gilkey always speaks on, floods a lot with the Trisco ditch. It comes, I can remember growing up at the wood yard over here, and we played in the ditch. It was cleaned out, in the late 80s, early 90s, that was a cleaned out ditch. We could run from East North Street over to Covington. You can't walk through those ditches anymore. It's not an option. So, it's mainly cleaning out the ditches, because if we don't, and if we do just keep talking how we've been talking and we don't do the work, areas as of this one, like I said, perfect example, in 1986, this ditch wasn't an issue. In 2019, now you're having a home that's never been flooded, has water coming up to its steps. And so, give that another year, that water on the steps probably comes to inside the first step. So, I'm committed to doing what it is we need to do. This is the most serious we've been about it at City Hall since I've been here, which is 2013, 6 years. So, tell us everything we need to hear. Don't, it's our fault. So, put it on us. But I'll say this though, if you are upset with a department in the city of Canton, department head, take it out on the alderman and the mayor. Because the people that are out there doing those jobs, they're just there because we put them there. So bring that argument to us. Don't, if there's a department head that you're not happy with, tell us about it. But, they only do as much as we give them the machinery and, the time to do. So that's all I'd say.
Rodriguez.
The question I want to pose is pretty much to our leaders that's on the higher level to figure out the course of action and the start of a plan to work together with, like the Congress.
I wanted to speak to Congressman Thompson, Benny Thompson's office.
to see if the Corps of Engineers is a better option for us and what's the steps that we need to take as a city to start the process and see if they'll be able to come out and help. It was something I spoke about years ago, trying to work with the Corps of Engineers to fix the Creosote ditch, but we haven't had an action or plan to obtain their service or assistance in a way. I'm just trying to figure out what's the
What
best
we're
way.
gonna do is, I'm gonna follow up with the Corps and say, look, the Congress wants you to come out and take a look at the creeks and, the ditches now. The city and the county gonna have to work that, but the Corps of Engineer will come out and look at those creeks and see if they need a line or whatever need to happen for those creeks, okay? That may help, deal with some of the flooding from the creeks. Soil conservation do the same thing. We're gonna talk with them. Matter of fact, in June, we'll have here at a meeting talking with the city officials. Now, the DRA, they have money available right now.
I was gonna ask you about that.
The DRA have money available through the Central Planning Development District. Now, my understanding is I keep up with stuff from the city, county, state, and federal level. But now, I don't know if the Planning Development District said anything to you guys about, because it's on their webpage, okay? Saying that this money is available for, sometimes, maybe, I don't know, the Congress require us to do certain things. So maybe somebody need to take some time to go out and look. Now, sometimes signing up for email, maybe, from the state development authority, following up, saying, hey, funds, do you have any funds to help our city? You have to ask. Me and Supervisor Griffin always talks about, he'll call me, hey man, you know anything? I might shoot me an email. Here's somebody maybe saying, but you have to sign up, the county, city, you have to sign up. Even communicating with your state leaders, because I realized, I looked at that and I was like, wow, all these folks got this bond money, right? So I didn't see, but I saw in Taylor County, now that's one of my counties, I served for the Congress. Taylor, Lee County, they got a ton of money to do some projects in their area. So, all I'm saying is we just gotta reach out to folks. So we gotta be accessible and say, hey, we're trying to help the citizens.
Let me say this.
Let me piggyback off something that Congressman Thompson had mentioned. And again, I want everybody to know that, even though this is our first open meeting that we're having, but we didn't just start this process. I think we had a meeting with Congressman Thompson also about a couple of weeks ago. And some of those very things that they're speaking of in terms of Corps engineering and all those folks, they've asked us, this is really the start of our endeavors to acquire certain fundings by having town hall meetings and people putting together a packet. Thompson said the first process he wanted to do is to put together a packet, put together something. Don't just come up there with him with talks, with words. He doesn't want to see that. So again, this right here is going to be included in that packet that we submit to Mr. Thompson's office as relates to the town hall meeting and some of the things that have been discussed. And that's why we're requesting and asking everyone to, if you have any additional pictures, I have tons of pictures as well, but those pictures tell a good story. And if you have some pictures that dates back, not just recently, or some years, prior to now and everything, those are very helpful too. So we can kind of chronologically put these things in place to show them exactly how these areas start, from that point to this point to where we are today. So it's like a progressive, time lapse type program. So again, we're in the process of getting these things together. So we're not just talking. We're definitely serious about the business of trying to mitigate these flooding issues here. So again, just wanted to share that.
Yes, ma'am. The lady in the black and white blouse. I can't see that far.
You, ma'am. Yes.
My name is Helen Clark. I live at 126 Liberty Village Code. The paperwork that he was speaking about, the E's and things that was signed over, the peoples in Liberty Village Code signed off the E's back some time ago. Mr. Grant and Mr. Eric, during the time, was over my district. We signed off to have this fixed. The water that's coming from 51, it was just like what's it been Superman, if you want to put it. It jumped so hard, it jumped all the way and popped up. It hit so hard and popped up a hole in the ground because the sewage that's going across through my property to take the water from the streets of Liberty Village Code it's stopped up, it's needed another pipe there, but also the main thing, Mr. Grant and Mr. Eric both done had beavers removed, they'll stop it up again because they didn't keep the ditch cut. So it stopped up again. When that water came down the last time, it didn't get me, but it got all the way up halfway in my backyard. It done broke my foundation. In other words, my house foundation. So my backyard is leaning like this. All of it just about washed away. On the other end, the guy down in the end that just moved there, him and his wife got flooded. Never got flooded before. When that water force came down, it hopped through by the welfare office and went down what y'all call the three-coat ditch, down by the fire department. My yard, all the way up to where I am, almost got washed away. If my house hadn't been sitting where it's sitting just a little bit when I had it built there, put the dirt that I had put there before I had it built, I'd have got flooded. But everybody later on this end, and Mr. Grant can tell you, I keep the cover it and all of that cleaned out. I keep whatever trash leaves or whatever. So it ain't no such thing that Helen Carter don't keep Liberty Bitties clean because he does. Although I'm the only one pick up paper and pick up trash. I wear that man that more than I think his wife would. But if they don't do something about it, we've been talking about this, I've been living there just about 30 years. And we've been going through the same thing over and over that the ditches need cleaning out. When that water comes from 51, you need to come and look. It look like a freight train coming down through there. And if you get out there and stand out there in the way, you're going to get swept away. So I want to know when they're going to do something about it because I'm worried about my house getting flooded. Not only my neighbors, I'm worried about me. And then I get off of work one day. You see here, I pick up veterans, y'all. I pick up veterans for y'all every day. I'm afraid if I come home on a flood, my house gone. So we want to know, not only me, everybody in here want to know when the city going to find somebody, if it's the president of the United States, somebody get us some money in here to help us to do something about it. Because y'all supposed to be and did something about it. They build up down on 55 down there. They build up and stop that water and they bag all that water on the people down on this end. They build up down there down on 22 down there. Why they can't get some money somewhere to build up somewhere else to stop the peoples in Canton, Mississippi from getting flooded? Well, always on the bottom of the totem pole.
Let me say this. First of all, I've met with Congressman Thompson along with Eric. He's committed. He's simply waiting for our plan. Today is the beginning of our plan. Fred? And the reason I'm calling on Fred and Drew and Daphne, because I want you to briefly hear from the governing authorities before we go back in the back again.
I don't think Drew.
Huh? Oh, you hadn't finished, Rodriguez? Okay. He said he's finished. Oh, you had not?
I wasn't finished.
Okay, go ahead.
The reason why I said I wasn't finished because I wanted to speak to the people that is here today. That we've never had this group of body of people here today, but to get some kind of idea or some kind of clue on, like the people said, when can we start? What can we start on? What can we do first? And where can we start the course of action? And I wanted to talk with the engineers from Saul to ask if retention ponds on the south and north end, are those viable options for us to start with holding some of the waters? If so, if the county could assist us with digging those retention ponds, because all it basically is digging a hole and fencing it off to keep the water to give the water somewhere to go when it gets up high and gives it a chance to run off. So that's what I'm asking to the engineers, is a retention pond, a large retention pond down by Redbud Park. Is it a viable option for us to do to kind of help with slowing the water down from moving as fast as it is now?
Edward Jones with Saul Engineering. At this time, we got to do our study. It's hard to say at this time because you got a lot of study, field work, and everything you got to do to put into. You got a lot of study you got to do to put into it in order to determine whether a retention pond will work. But so at this time, we in the beginning of the stage.
But can we look at some of those flood litigation plans we've already placed, put together, worked on, and see if that of those options still obtainable today? It's just that they may work in today's time, but we just never use them to put into place. So we have plans that are made out, and some things that may be in there that we can use right away to alleviate at least some of the problem.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The study that we have, they've been 10 years ago. Things don't change. Demographics hadn't changed. So, we just get on board with it. Just go back and look at the study and make sure it will work, and get your feasibility study so you can see it as something important to do.
Let's do this. I know everybody's getting tired. You have been here, hold on, you've been here now for 2 hours, and we don't want to lose you, and a lot of you have not said anything. So, Fred, I need you to say something briefly, and Daphne and Drew, and then Linda, we're probably going to try to wrap this up. And we're coming to you, yes ma'am. Fred? Yeah, because everybody's getting tired right now.
If I could break protocol, just, Ms. Esco, if I could break protocol for just 1 second, since I'm kind of chair, not necessarily chairing the flood litigation group. Let's hear from the constituents first, and then,
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so we can,
In the very, very back.
My name is Tia Lee, Sandwich Shop. I own a little business in Canton, but actually, I'm sorry for saying that, but my name is Dorothy Kelly. I only have a drain problem. That's it. But I'm concerned about my neighbor on Paisley Bottom. Every time it floods, and she's been sick, from the elevator, Mr. Griffin. She gets flooded out every time.
Down by the ditch?
Yes.
Yeah, been flooded.
That's a sad situation. I'm talking about every time. She's always flooded.
We will take a look at that. See what we can do.
Because it was a butane tank in it this last time, in that ditch.
Yeah.
I think my daughter called you about that, but Levator's house get flooded every time it rains.
Yeah, she must talk to somebody at the road department. I don't remember her talking
Yeah,
to me.
she called at the road department about the butane tank.
Yeah.
But for Levator, she's not here. And I just feel like if she being a neighbor, I would sit in for her, because she's ill.
Well, Reverend Walker called me about this, so we got some things lined up already there.
Okay, Ms. Case. Who is next after Ms. Case?
Tim.
Okay, Tim. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Truman. I know I've already spoken before, but I wanted to say thank you to the mayor and the Board of Aldermen for finally calling this meeting and giving the citizens of Canton a voice. Nobody in this room, I can't speak for everybody else, but I think I know what they're feeling. Nobody wants handouts. The people that have invested in this city want a fair deal. We wanna, like they said, they don't wanna wake up in the middle of the night and have to get out of their house in a boat. And I appreciate that the Congressman's office is here. I know Congressman Thompson, and I know he's tried to help us. All these different pots of money that you're talking about, we don't have access to those. Nobody calls us up and says, such and such a fund has $10 million. We're the bottom rung on the ladder. And I mean no disrespect to anyone here, because I appreciate the county representatives that are here. But the bottom line is, money talks. Canton is a poor city. We do not have the clout with our county that we need to have. If you look back at history on Madison County, the cities of Ridgeland and the cities of Madison were built on the backs of the citizens of Canton. When I moved here in 1993, the city of Madison was pretty non-existent. There were 3 or 4 developments. All of that in Ridgeland and Madison and now Gluckstadt was on our backs. The value of the real estate in the city of Canton that floated the bond issues. and nothing is coming back to the city of Canton. I appreciate both of you being here. I've lived here, I've worked with the county. We need help. I hear that there's stuff in the ditches, there's garbage. That's not our problem. We depend on the people that we elect to take care of us. And it's time for the city of Canton to stand up and throw people under the bus that have thrown us under the bus. Naturally, I am very grateful that you have spearheaded this with our aldermen, but we don't want a handout, we just want some help.
Good evening. Let me start with this by saying, and please, criticism is good because it makes people get up off their butts and do what needs to be done. To whom much is given, much is required. Now, to the constituents in the city, you've given these aldermen an opportunity to represent you and represent you to the fullest. Now, they can come here and make all these apologies, but most of them have been sitting here for quite a while.
Talk about it, Tim.
And an apology is supposed to be just like super glue. It's supposed to put things back together. But here's the deal. When you've lost time, money, things in your home, and psychologically damaged, an apology is no good. Absolutely no good. Now, to whom much is given, and you've given them this opportunity, now is the time to hold them accountable or tell them to hit the door. Now, I hear the young lady talking about saying that the people who've thrown us under the bus. Well, if they've thrown us under the bus, you have one power, and that's the power to vote. And utilize that vote not with your emotions, but with your heart to know and assess just what they've done in the years that they've been here. Now, Alderman Gilkey has been here the longest, and I hear his apology. But again, his apology is no good based on what you're going through. It's absolutely no good. Now, I love him, I respect him and admire him, but if you're not doing what you need to do, don't be Johnny come lately and say, we apologize, because the apology has done you no good. Absolutely no good. The media makes a mockery out of the city of Canton. We're talking about buzzards in the and I heard an old country boy say, buzzards don't come to the city, but they're coming to our city. You look at Nichols Middle School down there on Cameron Street, those poor children can predict when they're going to be out of school. And then we look at our test scores based on what they say the school district is not doing, but our leaders are not doing their job. Eric said one thing that I truly agree with. They got to be more communicate better and be more informative. Don't let them just say that. Hold them accountable. Again, as I take my seat, leadership means a lot. Don't just let them make paychecks and give nothing in return. There's something called an ROI report, and that report stands for a return on your investment. You've invested in them, make sure they get up off their butts and do their job. To whom much is given, much is required. Require much more out of your leadership. Because right now, they have 110% failed you. When the water rises again, preventive maintenance is doing something before it happens, not when it happens. Not when it happens. No, I know I'll be criticizing my league here, but I don't care. I'm in nobody's pocket. I'm in nobody's pocket. So make them get off the butt. Mr. Gilkey has been the longest serving alderman here. Make him earn his pay. Because I guarantee if that Crisco ditch ran in front of his house, something would be done. Dr. Truman is a physician. He knows that diseases lurk in this type of thing. And not one of these aldermen sitting here are devastated by the flood. I guarantee you there's flood in their area. So they can stand there and say, we feel your pain, but they've not experienced your pain. There's a big difference. The money that you lost, the time that you lost, an apology won't replace it. Hold them accountable. I'm Tim Taylor, and thank you all for your time.
She has a statement.
Talking about the emergency fund. It's the only way that emergency fund, he was saying that when the rescue crew go out, that you all don't have, you all qualify for assistance. It's if the rescue crew go out and they ask, can we, is that the only way? It's by rescue? Because if that's the case, it's a lot of people home that had water in it and no rescue crew has came to their house and said, do you have water in your home? Do you need to come out? If there was a plan in place to report how many people actually get water in their home, can we have enough people to get assistance? So when he mentioned there's bond money out there and it's listed on the website, thank you for putting pressure on the engineer who didn't give you an answer, Rodriguez. See, he stopped trying to answer your question when you was asking.
Go ahead, girl.
But there has to be a better plan in place to know who homes are affected. Because if you can tally correctly the number of people that are actually affected by the flood water, I think we have a fair, well over enough number to get the assistance that we need. Thank you.
Ms. Hawkins? Ms. Hawkins?
Who did you send the pictures to? I'm sorry. You all asked for more pictures.
There he is right there. Yeah, if for those of you who have pictures, give them your number, Anthony, so they can send you the pictures. Okay.
I did a little homework with a really good friend of mine, and I passed it to Mr. Denton. I would like for him to pass it around. Who's familiar with the Chula flooding? Okay, and that information that I'm bringing to the board, they received millions from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Exactly what you said. And you also mentioned the same thing. So we've got to ask for help. Because if that small town can get that kind of money, we can get it too. And the information is right there for you. Also, some different programs, grants, just information that the Rosenthal group has put together for Canton. He didn't even want me to say that, but I'm gonna say it anyway because he cares enough about the people here, and he knows Mayor Truly very well, and he made sure that I brought that here today for you.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Hey, I'm Debbie Brzezinski, and I just have a question. I may be wrong, but I vaguely remember 6, 7, 8 years ago, there was a plan to try to build a reservoir type area, wasn't it? Like our water area, like a lake, or like over behind the Waffle House down off.
It was 5, 6 years ago.
Okay, is that something that is still possible to try, that maybe these guys could take some of that, like that type of a plan to use as a retention or a detention type area?
It's fascinating that you brought that up simply because we just had that discussion today of building a retention pond or lakes as you cross that bridge to redirect the water. But we have to do an assessment and we have to do an estimation of costs. And then, of course, we have to submit this to our congressional delegation. But it has been discussed, it is on the radar, and it will be a part of our package.
And all that's privately owned land. That's not city property.
Okay.
Good evening. I would just like to say briefly, especially to you, Mr. Scott. I grew up, Tim Taylor. Yeah. I grew up at 551 Isabella Street. and I attended McNeil School, and it was flooding real bad one day. Our former mayor, Mayor Scott, was my principal. I attempted to walk home from McNeil School, trying to get home to Isabella Street. My dad had to meet me halfway because water as a little child was midway my waist coming up. So I'm very familiar with floods since I've been a little girl. This has been happening, and I'm way older than 8 years old now, okay? So don't say what I don't know about, because I do know about.
I never said you.
You said that we do not
I said you all need to get off your butts.
Well,
and
since I've
just-
been here,
That's what I said.
I'm not gonna
Hey, hold on.
But since I've been here, it's all I've been trying to do.
Just
Talk
a
with the
moment.
mayor,
Well, the
and
lady
my
back there
fellow
said when it flooded,
constituents.
she never saw all of it.
Well, she didn't say.
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. The reason we're here today, the reason we're
She
here
called my
today,
name there.
I understand that.
Okay,
But the reason we're here today
Is to talk together.
is to work
about
together.
Right. And the mayor and I actually did go over on 220 Southwest Street. I think the young lady
Okay.
that said she lost
Hold
her
on,
house.
Paul.
We met over there and we talked about what she lost in the flooding in that area. So I like Les, I've only been here a couple of years, but we've been working hard to try to get this resolved. So what's been going on for 50 plus years cannot be resolved in a day. So that you can kind of keep that grandstand and let's all work together.
Okay, Drew, because we're losing folks, so we need to wind this out. Oh, we do have, we would bring refreshments in here. Thanks, go ahead, Drew.
Listen, folks, people are leaving. That ought to tell us something. This has been good.
Yeah,
This has been really been good, and I appreciate being here. Whoever called it, thank you so much. We needed this. The good part of it, the ugly part of it, and the productive part. We needed to hear everything we've heard. And we appreciate you all. We love you, and we thank you. Now listen, folks, the ones that are walking out, try to catch the other. It's one thing I want to share with you. I got a secret. You know what that secret is? Your vote is the one that counts. You can change it. We can change it. It's getting ready to be that season, and signs can start popping up. Your vote is the one that kind of take it from me, I know. This is an undefeated, never been defeated. Every one of them. I can bring you over 2,000 of my good folks right now. It's still winning, okay? Amen. Amen.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. I'm not going to acknowledge the problems any more than we already have today. You know that about it. I can't promise that we're going to fix the flood, and I can't guarantee that we're going to fix the flood. But the one thing that I can promise, that you're going to get a valued effort from this board in trying to correct whatever we can to prevent the flood. And that's just what I want to tell y'all. Y'all give us a chance to get it right, and we're going to do it. That's my commitment.
Thank you, Drew. Paul is going to say something before he leaves, and we're going to have a brief word from the ministerial representative, Isaac Jackson, Dr. Isaac Jackson, and then Paul, and then we'll close it out.
Thank you guys for coming out. I'm going to be real brief. I learned a lot. I know Canton flood. I know it flooded on Lincoln Street, and I know it flooded down at Crisco Street. But there are a lot of more places that you said that I did not know, because I'm not from Canton. Canton is my adopted city. I'm from the country. So I'm gonna have to say whoever planned this did a good thing, because it made the supervisor that represent part of Canton. You educated him. And I know you educated this man over here. Amen. So let's keep our disagreement professional. Keep it professional. Thank you.
Isaac.
It's a good thing to see all the citizens of Canton come together. The only thing Canton has is us. And if we can't work together to save Canton, who will? Now, I love Canton. I left Canton going to fight some folk I didn't know nothing about. I came back here. Now, I'm going to continue to fight for a better Canton, Mississippi. And this board and this mayor and our supervisor, it's your responsibility to fight for a better Canton. We've been flooding a long time. They used to call it Frog Town. We've been flooding a long time. We can solve the problem. These problems are solvable. Bennett Thompson is here, and he will do what he said. We have some senators that haven't been by to see us. We need to see them too. Somebody asked a question, some bond money. I've asked twice the state for some bond money for a project in Natchez. I got $400,000 a few years ago. I'll sign off on another $400,000 in July. This is for Natchez. You have not because you ask not. And you ask not because you don't know you can ask. So ask, and it shall be given. Knock, and the door shall be open. God bless you. Keep on putting on a good fight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. And we have a lot of work to do. Hey, sweetheart, how you doing today? Yeah, look, I've been on the street for 100 years, almost 100 years. But look, this has been a great moment, a great day, and a great time. One of the things that we're going to do is that we're going to fight together, but for each other. We're going to walk together, we're going to cry together, we're going to get this done. We need your support, we need your love. This problem has been going on a long, long time. But I tell you today that we are committed to resolving this problem. The flooding of these communities, the flooding of these businesses, we have never, ever done anything like this. I want to thank the supervisors, I want to thank the board, I want to thank even the lawyer back there. We just want to thank everybody. And Dave, you need to stand up because people need to know that you're an engineer. Here to help us out. And so we got engineers here. And I want, and Alice, God bless you. We got 3 bears in here. That's history there. But what we're going to do, we're going to love each other. We're gonna. Who sings the song "Let's Talk It Over"? You don't know about that, Dave. Yeah, we're gonna talk it over. We're gonna solve our issues, and we're gonna get this done. I promise you this. I promise you that. I commit our aldermen. I commit our supervisors. We are going to get this done. God bless you. Thank you for coming. Yes, sir.
Are you willing to have someone to assign to inform the citizens of what progress is made at the alderman meeting so that we can hear?
Yes, sir. You see that gentleman right there? His name is Andre.
Andre?
Okay. He has captured everything that happened today on film. Every word that has been said will be disseminated and scattered across the land to the people of the city of Canton. God bless America, God bless you, and God bless the state of Mississippi.